Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Today I wanted to talk to you about presumptive VA claims. Now, when you file for a presumptive condition with the VA, it's a different world. It really cuts through a lot of the heartache when it comes to filing your claim and getting it service connected. So what I want to do is shed a little light on the presumptive process and what's eliminated through that process. And I'm going to start with what it takes to file a claim when it's not a presumptive, so you can do the compare and contrast, right? So please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. If you're not a member, consider joining. It does help out the channel a lot, and it helps me to find you guys in the comments. All right, so when you go to file a not presumptive condition, and oh, by the way, there are many different types of presumptive, okay? Beyond Agent Orange presumptives and beyond the PACT Act burn pit type presumptives. There are other presumptive conditions and eligibilities. So and that includes Camp Lejeune, right? So, but there's also a couple other ones, and unfortunately, many of us have missed the boat on those. But it's important to share it so that way the future we's will be able to actually know that it's available, those other presumptives. So anyway, let's jump into it. So the first thing you need to understand is how a standard claim runs. There's three components. You have to have active duty time. I always use active duty. There is reserve opportunity. It's just a little bit different, but I like to use active duty. So active duty gives you a window of opportunity from here to here. Okay, that is your window of opportunity. You entered here into the military, you exited here. This is your window for a standard claim. Then you need the second piece, a diagnosis. A diagnosis is needed, and it must be something that is chronic in nature or has some sort of residual effects. Thirdly, you need to have a nexus. That is what is considered the link between the condition and your time in service. So a date of complaining about that condition or getting diagnosed during your window of opportunity, that creates a nexus itself. So a nexus is not necessarily going down and getting something extra. In some cases, it is just shown simply by having your date of diagnosis within the window of opportunity, right? So what happens with a presumptive condition is you negate the need for a nexus. You do not have to show, and this is really important because guess what? Many of us do not go report, we got a hurt this or a hurt that or my neck or a disease or anything like that, right? We don't go share our signs and symptoms with our whatever it is, right? With your battalion aid station or whatever it is, right? So you get out and you deal with it and you move on in life. Now, presumptive conditions, again, what they do is they negate the whole need for a nexus, which is really important. You don't have to prove to the VA that your condition is that it manifested during your time in service or that it was a result of your time in service. You don't need to do any of that. All you need is simply a time in service and a condition. Now, what they do, this part's important, is they replace the nexus with certain time periods and locations. So, in other words, if you served in Vietnam, boots on ground, in 1966, and you have high blood pressure, hypertension, that is considered a presumptive. So all you need to do is go, okay, yes, I was in Vietnam, and this is, here's my proof that I was there. And, proof of service, proof I was in Vietnam in that time period. And here's my diagnosis of hypertension. Now the VA is going to give you service connection for that. You don't need to prove that being in Vietnam caused it because they presume, in this case, due to Agent Orange exposure, that you got it from that. So they don't have to have you prove it. Now, this is really important information because many people think that it's something that you have to prove. Many people think I have to prove that my condition is as a result of my time in service or that it started in my time in service. But again, that is not needed with presumptive conditions. Now, I'm going to read you the little blurb here from the VA's fact sheet just to give a little more clarification. So, what is a presumptive service connection? VA automatically presumes that certain disabilities were caused by military service. So there's a list of ailments for these different locations, whether it was Middle East for burn pits, or Vietnam or Laos or whatever for Agent Orange, or if it was Camp Lejeune for the water. And then there's a couple other ones, so hang on with me because I'm going to give you those here in a second. So VA automatically presumes those certain disabilities were caused by military service. This is because of the unique circumstances of a veteran's military service. If presumed conditions are diagnosed in a veteran within a certain group, they can be awarded disability compensation. So what they're talking about there is the different groups, right? So served here, served there, was here, was there, and you have one of these conditions, that's what they're talking about. So one of the things I wanted to share as well, and I'm going to slide into this now, is when you got out of the, and I'll tell you right now, nobody knows this, and it's sad because you'll go back in time in your head and you go, well, if I would have known. So disabilities that appear within 1 year after discharge. So you don't need to go anywhere. Okay, you could join the military and stay in wherever, Fort Bragg, your whole entire time and never leave. And you could have served however many years, doesn't matter. Whether you signed up for 3, 4, 6, 8, you re-enlisted, whatever, right? So you stay in whatever amount of time, you never leave. You have a fairly, non-risk type of a job there as well. So, doesn't matter. It's every single person that serves, right? So, disabilities that appear within 1 year after discharge. If you have certain chronic, long-lasting conditions that started within 1 year after your discharge from active military service, you may be eligible for VA disability compensation. Eligible conditions include high blood pressure, hypertension, how funny, arthritis, diabetes, or ulcers. And the list goes on. Compensation provides tax-free monthly payments. Keep reading for more information, blah, blah. So this is very, very important information, especially if you're still in or if you're within that 1 year window. I tell everybody who's discharging, look, if you've discharged now and you're already out and you're within that 1 year window, you need to go get checked for everything while you're still within that window. So it goes on here to say you may be eligible for disability compensation if you meet these 3 requirements. All of these must be true. You have an illness or condition that's at least a 10% rating that appears within 1 year of discharge, and the illness or condition is listed in Title 38 Code of Federal Regulations under 3.309 alpha, and you did not receive a dishonorable discharge. Now, again, this is a list of presumptive conditions, and I would err on the side of, hey, look, if I got out and I went and got diagnosed for anything within 1 year of my discharge, I would be filing for that, whatever that is, right? And let the VA say, oh, it's not on the list. Because there is a list and there are some things, but I would, even the rooster agrees. So that's important. Now, there are a couple other ones I want to share with you here that are beyond the 1 year time frame, and that is called Hansen's disease. And again, you don't need to serve anywhere. You could stay in the United States the whole time, get out, and later on come down with one of these conditions, and there are 4 of them. So, Hansen's disease, and that can appear within 3 years after discharge. Tuberculosis, and that can appear within 3 years after discharge. Multiple sclerosis, and that can appear within 7 years after discharge. And then lastly, we have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and that can appear anytime after discharge, and you can get compensated for it. Listen to the rooster. All right, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.